I think the word I'm looking for is stifled. I'm talking about that experience, that sensation of where it feels like it's like you're stuck no matter what you do. It's like it's like that old classic thing about how you know you've got much more potential than you have right now, and you have much more genius, much more energy, all these unique insights and experiences, and you're just not using them. You're not applying them. You know that you're capable of so much more than this, but for whatever reason, it's just not working out. And yeah, it's a bit of like a universal thing, especially among men, but it's also quite difficult, at least maybe it is just for me, to put into language. Because it's not necessarily that you're stuck, it's not necessarily that you're frustrated, it's just that you're feeling, and again, I keep coming back to the word stifled. Now, what is stifling you? Is it society? Is it your own human nature? Is it your shadow? Who knows? It almost doesn't matter because what matters is that you're in this situation where you know you're capable of so much more. Like it's ridiculous that someone with your energy, your intelligence, your ability to see things clearly is in the situation that you're in, where this is not the life that you'd chosen for yourself. This is not the life that you ever dreamed that you were living. This is far short of what some part of you knows that you're capable of. And it's not a question of entitlement, because it's not about the rewards. The rewards is not the point. There are a bunch of immature people out there who are like, I deserve to be a millionaire because blah, blah, blah. It's like, I mean, good luck to them. If that's their attitude, then they're less likely to be a millionaire just off the bat. But this isn't about the rewards. This isn't about the compensation. This is about the fights that you should be fighting and the victories you should be winning. Because it comes down to like, yeah, other people are just living their lives, and many people are winning these incredible battles. They're fighting these amazing struggles on the side of goodness, and you want to join in. You really want to join in, and the idea of fighting, even sacrificing, even suffering for this righteous cause is quite a good thought. It gets you quite excited, maybe, or inspired, or whatever the word is. But there's something it's just not really working out with that. It's as if you don't know where the battle's taking place, or you don't know how to join in, which you know is ludicrous because the battle is everywhere and it's always. But then when you try to take action, it it feels like something's missing. Now, this is a really complicated issue. This could have any number of causes. But what I do know is that it's very common, especially among men, especially around with men who are roughly my age. So let's call them like 20s to 50s, just because that covers every possible age that I could plausibly be. And for such a common thing, it's not really spoken about. This is a big part of the mental health crisis, because with some people, all they need to be content, and I love these people, this is not a criticism. In fact, I'm quite jealous of these people. But all they need to be content is to have a good job and a good family and a couple of good hobbies, and like that's spiritually fulfilling for them. But there's a number of people, myself included, where I would be honored if that was my life. I would be thrilled. But at the same time, there are bigger battles. As I talked about in my latest book, which is on why you should fight evil, I talk about how the people who are just living that life, it's you know they've got the job, they've got the family, and they've got some friends and some hobbies, but they're doing that like really well. They're good employees, or they're good bosses, and they're good fathers, and they're good friends. Those people are doing amazing work in the fight against evil. Those people are doing more good than most would-be crusaders ever will. But the trick is that we can't all do that. Some of us need to take on the bigger fights. And if you feel that calling in you, then that means that you're one of those people who should. But then this gets into a bit of a trouble, a bit of a tricky situation. Because how do you do that? And it could be really trivial to say that you just go out there and do it. And in fact, that's some pretty common and some pretty bad advice. Just go out there and do it. Just pick a battle and fight it. Because for some people, that's absolutely what they need to hear, and that's all it takes. But for many people, it's not about that. It's as if you're disconnected from your own energy. It's like you want to fight, but there's something about that that's just, I know, sort of just getting in your way. You're feeling disconnected. And that's why I keep using this word stifled, because it's like you have the fire in you. It's like you have this blazing passion to go out there and do something amazing and do something good. But when it comes down to it, when when you wake up in the morning, it's like that fire's not there. And so what do you do about this? Well, again, the pretty bad advice is to just pick a fight anyway. Because if you don't have that blazing intensity like active in you in this moment, the fight that you're going to pick is not likely to be a good one. I see a lot of people very passionate. Oh, so I remember when I was a teenager, and like not even like an old teenager, that I would have been like 14 or so, and I saw this clip from a documentary. It was a street interview, and someone was asking this woman what she thought about um, like I think it was global warming. It's like specifically like CO2 into the atmosphere, heating up the planet. Now, of course, uh, that was well over 2 decades ago, and there was a hot button issue then, and all these doom and gloom predictions, whatever. Um, but it was funny because it's like, so what's your take on all this like extra carbon in the atmosphere, heating up the like global warming? And she started talking about like, yeah, how it like it's eroding like the planet's protection against solar radiation. There's going to be an increase in sunburns and deserts, and there's like radiation from the sun is going to like sterilize the land. And she'd get like really fired up, really passionate, which is funny because the question was about global warming specifically, and she's clearly talking about the ozone layer. But that doesn't matter. She's like super fired up about this, super angry, super passionate. And if you don't have like this deep zeal that's coming from a place of strength and wisdom, that's going to be you. You're going to end up like some algorithm or some influencer or some politician or some business leader is going to tell you what to get mad about, and you'll get really mad about it. But it won't be true. Like, even if global warming is a real issue, and even if the ozone layer was a problem point, this woman was clearly mad about something that she didn't understand. It's stuck in my head ever since. But my point with that is that it's a pretty bad idea to just sort of fake this, to just like go ahead and pick a fight, because unless your zeal is coming from a place of truth and wisdom, the fight you pick is not going to be the right fight. Uh, but what's this about? Like, given how broken the world is, why don't you have this burning passion all the time? Why does it sort of come and go, and why does it rarely translate into action, into like pushing back against the darkness? And again, if you came to me as a coaching client, we would unpack that. We would explore it. We'd have some conversations. I would like map out exactly what's going on in your mind. But in a video like this, I'm just going to take some educated guesses, some broad strokes. Maybe this will be useful to you, maybe it won't be. But what seems to be going on with this in particular, what I'm calling feeling stifled, I suspect in many cases, maybe most cases among men, is a disconnection from like virtuous masculinity. And again, we could talk for hours about, this is because they've poisoned the food and so the hormones are out of whack. And we could talk about how society has been berating and demonizing men, and how the mainstream is going to talk about masculinity. It's either toxic masculinity or it's about like what they consider good, which are basically just boyish, girlish, not threatening to anyone, not capable of defending anyone, just really like passive, unable to really do much. They call this gentleness good, even though the gentleness comes from a place of weakness. We could talk all about that, but other people talk about it better. The second one I'm going to talk about is what you can do to help reconnect with like this virtuous masculine spirit, because that's where this fire, this zeal comes from. And your virtuous masculinity is excellent at taking that anger of having your boundaries violated and turning it into something that gets results. Now, of course, anger needs to be used wisely. It can be quite harmful to you and others. But the funny thing is that virtuous masculinity is the best at using anger well. Even women tend to struggle with that, even when they're really well integrated. And men who do struggle to channel their anger in useful ways, what they need is more masculinity, not less. So, quick, simple, easy way that I would coach someone through getting in touch with this a bit more is I'd invite you to either imagine or remember a time where you felt really in tune with your best, most masculine self. So this virtuous masculinity, where you just felt aware of everything and this duty of care towards everything. You had really firm boundaries, where you were decisive but not controlling, where you were disciplined but not obsessive. Because everyone has had these moments. Most children have had these moments. Women have had these moments. But for men, this emerges in our nature more often when we're healthy, when we're integrated, when we've got a lot of the positive psychology. No, that's the wrong phrase, because positive psych. Yeah, we've got a lot of the like we're really in tune with who we are and what we want. We're really like emotionally healthy, psychologically healthy, and it's a consequence of that health, but it can also lead men back to that health. It's a nice virtuous cycle. So I would get you to experience this, get you to remember or to imagine this. Because the cool thing about emotions, about states of mind, states of being, even about like virtue and energy, is that you can practice them. The more you practice them, the better you get at them. It can be this really interesting thing. And you can do that within like very short amount of time. It's one of those things where it can be quite good, but it's quick, and it's like a quick, dirty sort of fix. Like if you did this in the moment, you'll be a lot better in that moment. But unless you do this regularly, it's not going to get to the roots of what's going on here. And so another thing that I do is, apart from just cultivating this within you and encouraging you to practice this until it becomes habitual for you, automatic for you, is to figure out how to get to that state more automatically. Because if you're having to like imagine and remember and really sort of concentrate and really practice on it, then there's something missing there. Ideally, it should just emerge. And so what we can do is we can explore all of these different ways to like figure out what the conditions are when you just naturally enter a state like that. Because it can be a bit sort of clumsy, a bit sort of artificial to be like, just pretend to be like super virtuously masculine right now. It can be a bit like, like I guess, but it feels awkward, it feels fake, it feels like I'm an actor. It's not great necessarily. It can be really, really useful in the moment, but also sort of like, what am I really doing here? But you enter this state, you adopt this energy, you become like this just naturally on your own. And so mapping out the conditions, what needs to be there for you to enter. Like maybe it's just a matter of you just have this moment where you're standing out in nature, and that's more likely for it to come to you. Great. And if it only comes to you in nature sometimes, what else needs to be there? A lot of guys find something like this when they see their children playing, especially if, let's say, they're playing outside at a park and they're aware of all of like the traffic and potential threats around them. They just tune into this energy, and it's amazing that they've had this ability all along. And so figuring out what causes this is an even better form of practice than even just imagining and pretending and all of that sort of stuff, as good as that is. And so I could develop like an entire coaching program just off the back of this, figuring out exactly what it is that you need, how you get there, and how you can get there more easily in the future. But of course, part of operational Christianity is bringing Christian teachings into this. And some Christian teaching misapplied does unfortunately contribute towards this stifling, because I'm often reminded of Esau. So Jacob and Esau. Esau is this legendary hunter. He's obviously incredibly masculine and even virtuously masculine. He's a good guy. He looks after his father. He takes care of the family, and he's very, very in tune with the land, very capable as a person, and just fulfills his duties like rather simply. If they need meat, he goes out and gets meat. And it's not a matter of going to the store, it's a matter of hunting and preparing. But the story of Esau ends with him in this moment of foolishness, in this moment of folly, where he's just only focused on the moment and with no regard to the future. He trades his birthright for a bowl of beans or a lentil porridge or something. So he's hungry. He gives up what is a divine gift from God in exchange for basic food. And an incorrect interpretation of this story is that this virtuous masculinity is naive, it's foolish, it's going to get you into trouble. You're going to make stupid decisions, people take advantage of you. But that's not really like the point. Because virtuous femininity is very in tune with the moment, very attentive to the present. But virtuous masculinity is attentive to both the present and the future. Esau's mistake here is not an excess of masculinity, but again, a lack of it. Is if he had been more, like if you think about like an action star or a figure from mythology like Odysseus or Hercules or whatever, someone gives you a deal like this, you say, like a truly masculine man will say, no, I will rather go hungry because I'm strong enough, I'm disciplined enough. No matter how starving I am right now, I'm going to protect what's important. That's what masculinity truly is. And so a nice point of contrast for Esau is John the Baptist, who again is this ridiculously virtuously masculine figure. So incredibly disciplined, very Spartan the way he lives, doesn't need fancy clothes, doesn't need food apart from what he just plucks out of the ground. And he's in touch with this incredible wisdom that really only comes from being so attuned to yourself like this. And you could imagine like a hermit like this, just living off the land, away from society, being someone who is, they're afraid of conflicts because they've just cut themselves off from society, or like, they're living life on their terms, but they're not really contributing anything to the next generation. But again, John the Baptist is beyond that, because people seek him for wisdom, for baptisms. And when the king commits a sin, rather overtly and publicly, John goes into town and calls him out publicly, because he knows that's what's expected of him. That's his duty. It's the real masculine energy that you need in order to fire up this zeal. It comes from being able to really tune in to yourself, to your environment, and from wisdom beyond your years. And so again, if you're a coaching client, I would help you explore what that means for you, because that's going to be very different from person to person, just as it's different from Esau, even at his best, and John the Baptist. All right, that's enough for today. Peace be with you.